let's look into our next topic here for today, Apple. So when I started looking into Apple's previous quarter sales, some of the risks that Apple has, so I use uh, ChatGPT to do some basic research on what are the risks for Apple and few other things. It's pretty sleek here. So let's look into some of the market risks that Apple has. So earning call is on Wednesday, no, sorry, on Thursday, August 3rd. So Apple may surprise us, or the market may go down because Apple is, the quarterly results were not good. So I don't know what will happen on Thursday, but let's look into some of the risks that it has. Market saturation, one of the major risk. uh, Apple has smartphones, tablets. There's always a risk of market saturation. So competition, there's a intense competition from Samsung, Google, Microsoft, among other players. So there is a huge dependency on iPhone sales. I was reading yesterday that there are almost 1.2 to 1.4 billion iPhone users out there. And the good news is there are almost 250 million users who have not upgraded their iPhones recently. So that may happen in coming year or two. So that's a good thing for Apple. Supply chain disruption. This is huge. Geopolitical events play a huge role in how Apple companies like Apple perform, because there's a lot of dependency on China and other countries where they make the parts for iPhones and other hardware. Then, of course, there are regulatory and legal challenges that Apple faces when operating in other countries. Uh, Key suppliers. So again, because of those geopolitical events, this is one of the risks that Apple has. Exchange rate fluctuation, because the Apple sells in other countries as well. So there's always that exchange rate fluctuation risk that is always there. So I was going through these different risks for Apple. So let's look into some of the key metrics. So things that we need to look into is revenue. So I was looking into what their CFO Luca was predicting for their third quarter. He was saying that it is going to probably be similar like second quarter. That's a decline of about 3%. Gross margin, another key metric that we need to look into when we are looking into earnings. So it for Apple, it provide a bit of competitive advantage, especially when the sales are declining. Diluted EPS, it has been on decline recently. So these are some of the key metrics that we need to look at when Apple announced their earnings. Now let's go beyond the numbers. Let's talk about iPhone revenue. So that is one of their flagship product, and it is on the sales. The sales is on decline. So that is something that we have to see how it is doing for this quarter. Mac revenue in prior quarter, the sales were declined. So this is another one of the key revenue generator for Apple. iPad revenue, again we saw year over year decline in the sales for iPad. Then you talk about wearables, home and accessories. So iPod, that what you call their headphone, I think that alone generates around $12 billion in revenue, which is huge, in my opinion. But again, this is one of another revenue stream that Apple has. Service revenue after iPhone, this is the second one, the second largest revenue generator for Apple. You talk about revenue from App Store, you talk about Apple Pay, Apple Music, iCloud. it is literally the second largest segment for Apple in terms of revenue. So again, you talk about services gross margin, product gross margin. So we have to look at these numbers when Apple comes out with their earnings, and I guess the analysts are predicting they are very bullish right now.